Om Shri Sai Ram. Upanishad Vahini by Bhagwan Shri Satya Sai Baba. Chapter 11, Taittiriya Upanishad. The systematic instruction on Brahma Vidya was explicitly dealt in this Upanishad. It has 3 sections: Siksha Vali, Brahmananda Vali, and Bhrigu Vali. The latter 2 sections, which deal with the teaching of Brahma Jnanam, are very important. When man starts his journey towards obtaining Brahma Vidya, even Devas and Rishis create obstacles. In the Siksha Vali, certain methods to overcome such obstacles and to acquire one-pointedness in mental exertions are detailed. This Vali has 12 Anuvakas or sections. Brahmananda Vali and Bhrigu Vali are together dealt with particular appellations. These 2 Valis teach the same subject and are popularly known as Varuni Vidya, which leads to moksha or liberation, and so they are practically the same. Only for the convenience of study, they are dealt separately as 2 Valis, that is all. In the Siksha Vali, subjects like Samhitas, that is systematically arranged texts or verses on the basic ethical conduct in daily life, and Upasanas or the worship or meditation, along with karma or do's and don'ts as prescribed by Vedas, are dealt with. These lead to Swarajya, or an aspirant who through contemplation becomes one with Hiranyagarbha or the Supreme Being, attains sovereignty as the truth and Lord of all, as all knowledge, consciousness, as the self of all. But by just these, the complete destruction of samsara or flux will not be accomplished. Upasana exists along with karma or desire. So, like karma, even upasana cannot bring about moksha or liberation. All the samsara is due to ajnana or ignorance or delusion. So, the destruction of ajnana itself is moksha or liberation. Ajnana is there, persisting through natural causes. It is just like the delusion that though your train is stationary and the train on the adjacent rails is moving, it appears as though your train itself is moving. There is no use seeking to know the cause of this ajnana. Seek how to escape from it. This ajnana, which is the seed out of which samsara sprouts, can be destroyed only by Brahma Jnanam. There is no way out other than this. Karma phalam or fruit of actions is temporary. In other words, karma phalam comes to an end once the results or consequences of the actions are used up. This is evident from the Shastras as well as experience and reason. The Shastras speak of mumukshus or aspirants of moksha who felt disheartened after realizing with experience that the celestial worlds like heaven, which are attained by performing the prescribed karmas or rites, are not capable of bestowing the ever-existing moksha or liberation. An individual is ever liberated, never in bondage. Only ignorance wields this truth. So, even Swarga or heaven attained as a result of karma is only short-lived. Heaven, hell, and such others are created once, designed in accordance with the karma phalam. They do not exist prior to karma. That which once was not and later will not be is as good as not even in the present. That which is created as a consequence of karma cannot be eternal. No effort can result in acquiring akasha pushpam. On the other hand, nothing can produce anew what already exists, though moksha is ever existing. It is remaining unexperienced due to ajnana or ignorance. The moment the jnana which hides it, or the moksha from experience, disappears, that moment you will have the immediate experience of its existence. All lands existed before they were discovered. They were not created anew, isn't it? Similarly, moksha, which already exists, needs to be uncovered by listening to Vedanta, which teaches Brahma Jnanam, and by having firm faith in it, Ajnana can be destroyed. By teaching Brahma Jnanam, Brahmanandavali aims to destroy Ajnana, the seed from which samsara sprouts. It is in the nature of things that ignorance prompts men to crave for plentiful fruits through the performance of actions. Then they become despondent after knowing that all their immense efforts of engaging in karmas and accumulating its fruits are wasteful, as they cannot grant them the ever-existing moksha. That craving for the fruit of action is hard to shove off, though this fearful flux of samsara makes them shiver in dread. In this Upanishad, the three words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, that is absolute existence, pure consciousness and limitlessness, are meaningfully affixed to Brahman to explain its Lakshanam, a word or statement that unfolds the intrinsic nature of Brahman or the absolute reality through implication. These are three distinct words which are not mutually related. These words do not signify the Vishyasana or the characteristics differences or mere adjectives. The definition of the word Vishyasana is marking out an object or objects from the homogeneous objects. Sajatiya, which have no distinguished or special characteristics. That is to say, if we mistakenly consider the word Satyam as an adjective in the very expression Satyam Brahma, then it wrongly implies that the Brahman is separated with a special quality Satyam from the other Brahmans which are not Satyam. Similar in the case with the words Jnanam and Anantam, which wrongly implies that all that is limited by time, space and objectivity are jada or inert, that is the material Brahmans, are apparently different and are separated from Brahman or absolute reality in context. Lakshana unfolds the Swarupa Nirupana, that is the intrinsic nature of the object, and expresses its special quality through Lakshya or implication or indication. Any object that has been implied or indicated through its Lakshana will be differentiated and distinguished from the kindred and similar phenomena. Whichever Rupam or form or appearance a thing is determined to have, if that Rupa is unchanged, then it is referred to as Satyam. If that Rupa undergoes change, then it is Asatyam. Vikaram or modification is the sign of untruth. Absence of modification is Satyam or truth. Brahman is Satyam. That is to say, it has no modifications, it is Nityam. It is unaffected by time. Rest all undergoes modifications with time. All that is not Brahman, that is Jagat, is subject to change. So, it is not Brahman. All objects are subject to the triple process of the buddhi or intellect, jnana, knowledge, and jnanam, knowable or that is to be known, and janatra or knower. Hence, the buddhi is spoken of as a guha or cave where all the objects of this threefold process mysteriously hide. In the Brahmana section, the Upanishad various forms of dharma too are treated elaborately. Dharma, treat thy mother and father as God. What works are free from fault, they should only be resorted to, not others. It is taught that there are 3 steps for Atma Sakshatkaram or self-realization, Shravana or listening to Vedanta explained systematically by a competent teacher, Manana, and Nididhyasan or putting them into practice, the teachings learned and gaining actual experience. Listening refers to Vedas which have to be revered in faith and learnt by heart from a guru. This confers Paroksha Jnanam or indirect knowledge acquired through sensory perception of the Brahman. Manana is the tapas taught in the Bhriguvali. By this process, the Nirguna, Brahmatva Swarupa, the form of Brahman, devoid of all attributes, can be fixed in the mind. Nididhyasana is the development of single-minded attention on the principle so installed. In the 2 Valis, Brahmananda Vali and the Bhrigu Vali, Brahma Vidya, which ensures the realization of Brahman, is expounded. The Brahmananda Vali, the message is taught by explanation. The Bhrigu Vali, the message is caught by experience. Bhrigu, the son of Varuna, once approached his father and asked him to teach about Brahman. Varuna taught him about Annam, food, Prana, life, Chakshu, eyes, Shrotram, ears, Manas, mind, Vak, speech, etc. He told his son to know Brahman as that form which all these are born and that in which they live and function. After listening to these instructions from his father, he entered into tapas and ended in a realization that Annam or food is Brahman, since all beings are born and sustained because of food. Not being satisfied for some reason, Bhrigu approached his father again and asked him to teach about Brahman. He was told that tapas is Brahman, for it is that by which Brahman is known. He then discovered by tapas that Vijnanam or pure knowledge is Brahman, for Vijnanam is that in which creatures are born and it is that by which creatures live. Thus, it is announced that of all disciplines and subjects of study, Brahma Vidya is the most sacred, holy, and esoteric, which has to be learned through traditional observances transmitted from one guru to another. Annam is not to be decried. That should be the vow of the Brahmavid, enlightened one. The vital airs are all Annam. The physical body is the gift of Annam. The body is firmly established with the support of prana or vital air. So, Annam should not be slighted. That should be the resolution. The waters, in conjunction with the fire in the stomach, consume and become food for the body. Vidyudagni. Vidyudagni, the fire of lightning, is inherent in the chest, and water is inherent in the fire. Both of these, fire and water, are inherent in Annam. So, whoever is established in the worship of Apojyoti, of fire and water, which is inherent in Annam, and honors Annam, he too becomes eminent. Annam is equated to Guru, for it leads you on to the knowledge of Brahman. It should not therefore be treated with disrespect. That must be observed like a vow by the spiritual aspirant. Since the physical, gross body is the modification of food, it is considered as Annamaya Kosha. The prana or vital layers form another vesture, the Pranamaya Kosha. It weighs between good and bad, right and wrong in the vesture of mind, or Manomaya Kosha. When it fixes upon a step or course of action as an outcome of the assessment, it is the function of the Vijnanamaya Kosha. That is the vesture composed of the powers of perception and intellect. When the joy of achievement or fruits of action is tasted, it is the Anandamaya Kosha that functions only to meditate on the Brahma Bhavam, or the self-inquiry that you are Brahman. The Pranamaya Kosha is manifesting itself as gross body, or Annamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha is subtle and vestures or holds the gross body. It is activated by Vayu and is saturated with Vayu. It pervades and subsumes the entire Annamaya Kosha. You can say that the Pranamaya Kosha is the soul of the Annamaya Kosha, for it makes it function from head to foot. It cannot survive without the prana. Prana is the motive force that makes the body function. Pranamaya Kosha is formed of 5 modifications of the prana: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. By contemplating that the pranamaya is the atma of the annamaya kosha, the notion that the body is the self will gradually disappear. Subtle prana is like obtaining the molten metal in the solid crucible. With the support of Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha, which is the soul of Annamaya Kosha, is appearing as the functional feature. Prana or Vritti in the form of Swaha is head for the Pranamaya Kosha. Vyana or Vritti is the right wing, and Apana Vritti the left wing. Samana Vritti is the central body and the soul. Since the Prithvi or earth provides support and foundation, it is the hind part. If Prithvi is not established firmly, weight of it will cause the fall when it tries to rise upwards due to the function of Udana. The prana moves upwards from the heart to the face, the nose, etc., and reaches the head. Hence, the prana vritti is compared to head. From the head, it flows and spreads across the body under distinct names and distinct functions. When it flows through all the nadis or energy channels, it is called Vyana. When it flows and spreads to the pelvic region, it is called Apana Vritti Paksham. When it functions around the navel region of the abdomen, it is called Samana or the Atma. Samana is all pervading without any distinctions, hence compared as Atma. For the Manomaya Kosha and the Yajur, for the Manomaya Kosha, the Yajur Veda is the head. The rishis from the right wing. Sama is the left wing. Brahmana is the soul. The Atharvana Veda is the tail or the hind part that provides support for stability and ease. The mantras of the Yajur Veda are used very extensively in yagas. With them, by uttering swahakaras or oblations are offered to the deities ceremonially in the sacrificial fire. Hence, it is considered as the head. The sound of Yajus produces modifications which are auspicious. Listening to the sounds of Yajus causes the activities of the mind to function auspiciously. That is the reason for the significance attached to the other Vedas also. Thus, all mantras become the causes of mental modifications, and all the mental modifications will illuminate or activate because of the Atma Chaitanyam, or the absolute and all pervading consciousness. Thus, the Vedas and the mystery of the syllables is nothing but the pure knowledge of the self or Atma Vijnanam. Therefore, the existence of Vedas is eternal as they discuss the eternal Atma. The Atharvana Veda treats of various rites to win relief from evil forces and ailments and provides stability and ease. So, it is described as the tail or hind part. This Vijnanamaya Kosha, a product of gross and subtle bodies, is regarded as the soul of the Manomaya Kosha. Jai Sai Ram.
सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सा ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ